All right, so moving into Eclipse, we're going to go ahead and write some code. So we'll make use of the existing project that we've had, Spring Demo 1. And this is the same project that we had in the previous videos as far as making use of our coach, baseball coach, and track coach. So again, the same project there. And what we want to do is make use of some code that we've downloaded for this course. So in previous videos, we gave you the links on how to download the course files. So once you download it, you'll get this Spring Hibernate source code.zip. You can extract it, and then you'll get this folder. So again, look at the previous videos in the course as far as how to download the actual course zip file. But anyways, once you have it, you've unzipped it. There's this Spring Hibernate source code, and we'll look in this directory here called Spring Core. Because what we want to do is actually copy a starter file that'll help us out with the XML configurations. So I just moved down into Spring Demo 1 starter file, and there's a file there called application context.xml. It's just a basic starter file, basic shell. But let's go ahead and copy this file. Just do a right click and choose copy. And let's move back over to Eclipse, and we want to place this in our source directory. All right, so highlight that source directory, do a right click, and then choose paste. Because what this will actually do is it'll paste the file and actually put it on our application's class path. So we can make use of our class path application context. So there's our file. Now, if we just double click this file, our first step is configuring our Spring beans. All right, so this file has a lot of header information here for the XML namespaces, and that's what's required for Spring to be able to process this file using its grammar and XML schema. And now let's go ahead and define our bean. So we have this bean, and now I need to set up two attributes. The first attribute I need to set is ID equals, and this is basically our alias or what the app will use. I'll just call it my coach. And then I give class. And now I give the fully qualified class name of our implementation. So in this case, I want the baseball coach. So I know the baseball coach is in com.lovetocode.springdemo. Oh, and actually this is track coach. Sorry. So com.lovetocode spring demo track coach. And that's our bean definition there. So that pretty much covers step one as far as configuring our Spring beans. All right. So now let's go ahead and take a look at one other item. And now what I'm going to do is actually make use of a Java class. So I'm going to create a new class called Spring Hello App. So I'll select my package here. I'll do a right click and I'll say new class. And the actual name of the class here, I'll actually call it Hello Spring App. And also I'll check the box here at the bottom, public static void main, just so it'll give us a main method for our application. And then I'll just hit the finish button. Okay, great. So again, just like before, this gives us a very basic Java class. Now, what I like to do is, I always like to put in comments first before I start writing code. So the first thing I want to do here is load the Spring configuration file. And then I actually want to go ahead and retrieve a bean from the Spring container. Now that I have the bean, then I call methods on the bean or a method on the bean. And then finally, just to be nice, I'll close the actual application context. So that's my basic game plan here for building our Hello Spring app. All right, so let me stretch out here at the bottom, give myself some white space. And now let's go ahead and cover step 2 of creating the Spring container. So again, here we're going to use this class path XML application context. And I say new, and that's a really long name. So I'm just going to copy paste that name. I'm taking a shortcut, paste. And then in the constructor, I give the actual name of the config file. So just like in the previous example here, application context.xml. That's the name of our XML config file. Now it'll give us error messages as far as doing an import. So we simply hover over that error message, and then we choose that first option of importing. So if you move up top, Eclipse will help you out with importing that class from the appropriate package. So that's a nice little feature there. Okay, so now let's retrieve the bean from the container. So here I say context.getBean, and I give my coach, that's the ID, comma, coach.class. That's the actual name of the interface for our implementation. So now I'm simply going to call methods on the bean. So I simply use my system out print line trick, sysout control space, and then I'll say the coach.get daily workout. And now I simply go through and close the context by saying context.close, just to be nice, just to clean up after ourselves. All right, so that's kind of the basic game plan here with this Hello Spring app. So the first thing we do is we load the Spring configuration file. Then we go through and retrieve the bean from the container. Then I call methods on that bean. And then finally, I close the context by doing my cleanup. And that's the basic game plan. And that's kind of your first Spring application right there. Woohoo! Now let's go ahead and try this out. Let's run it. So just do a right click, run as a Java application. And there we go. Booyah! Check the output. So here, look at some of the info messages. So it's loading XML bean definitions from your class path resource. That's our configuration file, application context.xml. And then we called our sysout print line on the get daily workout. And our track coach said, hey, we need you to run a hard 5K. So this looks really good. I'm kind of excited about this. I hope you are too. This is our first real Spring application, and it actually works, which is cool. So again, there's the code up top, and then our messages being displayed there at the bottom. Reading the config file, getting the bean from the container, and then simply calling methods on that bean. And that gives us the desired output in our console window. Cool. So let me kind of switch back to our slides here for a second, because now we've kind of come full circle here. So now we have an app that meets the requirements. Our app is configurable based on that configuration file we just worked on. And also we can easily change the coach for another sport by simply putting in a different coach implementation. So I like to say mission accomplished. And I like to say that we've met all of those requirements from our manager. So, hey, boss, we got it all covered here. We're all done for the day. And thanks to Spring, our life is much easier. So good job here. Our first Spring app, it's up, it's running, and it's working. A lot of great Spring stuff coming on later, but hey, this is a good start. So give yourself a pat on the back. Job well done.